Where's Ass Chief?
I
Heard.
don't know.
Recording has started, by the way, as well. Baxter just started it for you.
Okay. All right. So the reason for this meeting, there's been quite a few. I say quite a few. A lot of severe things that need to be addressed that's happened this week. A lot of you may know that I took a week away to deal with some things. Um, Unfortunately, there's some niceties and there's some not nice things to go over. So I'm going to give you guys the option. Should we start with the niceties or should we start with the bad stuff first?
Always stop bad stuff.
Bad stuff.
Okay. Bad stuff. I'm not going to call people out. There's no need for it. I'll pull you aside at a later date and have a separate conversation with you. I'm not going to name and shame you in front of everybody here, but you know who you are when these points are addressed. Telling people they have warrants, especially high value warrants, don't do that. That is a violation of your oath. Stop telling suspects they have warrants. If you're doing it as a joke, that's fair enough. But make sure they actually don't have a warrant, especially telling them what their warrant is. I can't believe that I'm about to say this. We had someone that had a 400-month warrant who was told they had a warrant. And ever since they were told they had a warrant, they got extremely aggressive with PD. Why it happened, I don't know. But we should never ever be telling suspects until they are in our custody that they have a warrant.
I have a question on that.
Mm-hmm.
Shouldn't we tell them, like there is a warrant for their arrest? You have a warrant. I mean, isn't that there's a warrant for your arrest? Shouldn't that
We
be?
should be telling them. The situation I'm talking about specifically. An officer specifically walked up to an individual and told them that they had a warrant. There was no situation. There wasn't even just pulling them over. It was just, oh, hey, by the way, you got a warrant.
Yeah, I mean, like if we do a felony stop on somebody and we PID them, have
In
a
that
felony stop.
situation,
There's a warrant for your
is
arrest.
different.
Get out of the vehicle.
Yeah, in that situation is different. The one I'm talking about, it was specifically stated
Just casually stated.
Yeah, just casually stated as if I was to walk up to you and just to have a chit chat with you and say, "Oh, you got a warrant." It was just a, "Hi, you got a warrant. This is what it is." And ever since then, that person has been extremely violent towards PD.
Nice.
Yeah, that shouldn't happen. The only time, exactly like Cheddar said, the only time you should tell someone they have a warrant is either A, when they're in custody, or B, on a felony stop because we pulled them over because we know they have an active warrant and we PID'd them. That is the only time they should be told they have warrants for their arrest. Not just a general conversation of walking up to them and having a general chit chat and say, hey, you got a warrant, and stating what their warrant is. This is why PD for the last week has been getting shot with class 3s, blown up. And from what I've heard and the reports I've read, Himi has had a fantastic week of explosions. To the point I may have to fine him for the amount of CVPIs he's blown up.
No, I'll live.
It's all right, they're not expensive anyway.
I'll live, sir. That's
China.
fine.
Use of force is a big, big thing. You all know it. It is most of it's been drilled into you. For those of you that have been here a while, you know it. For those of you that are new, your use of force is your voice, your taser, your baton, your firearms. No one should just be instantly going for firearms just because someone upset your feelings. I had a report of someone's feelings got upset, they pulled a gun and shot them.
What the fuck?
He needs to get fired.
Luckily for whoever the officer was involved, their name was not given to me. So whoever the officer is, if you are here and you know who you are, if you wish to come forward about it, please do. If you don't, take this one as a freebie that it's not being looked into because the person isn't pressing charges. They're not taking it to court. It was just wanted to be noted that this happened. Again, the officer was never named, nothing. So if you don't want to own up to it, fine. Take it as a freebie. If I see anyone or hear anyone doing it and a report does come through, you won't talk to me, you'll talk to Green. It's plain and simple. Green outranks me, he outranks Cheddar. So if you're having a conversation with him, there is a problem. Please remember your use of force and use it correctly in the correct situations. Because I don't want to have to be pulling people's firearms from them and suspending you for an investigation. Because if we have to suspend you for an investigation because you used the incorrect use of force and it is a very, very severe case that it was used in, that's when it becomes a lot more of a legal trouble with court dates, interviews, you having to come here to talk to CID, talk to Green, talk to anyone in command to answer questions. We don't want to get to that stage. So just please remember your use of force.
It can be a very long and arduous process.
Correct. Clocking in times. I am very, very pleased to say that we have increased our hours. Some of you are slacking. Command has had a meeting. Those people that are very much slacking on their time will be reached out to and you'll be given a warning this time around. If it proceeds to be a thing, unfortunately, there is now a disciplinary process that we're going to follow, and those that are going to be continuously slacking are going to have those disciplinary actions brought to them. That being said, as a command, we have decided that a minimum clocking in hours a week is anywhere between 5 to 8 hours. The reason for this is because we're now getting to the point of we need officers around. We understand that people can't be around all the time. So for the first couple of months, if people aren't meeting those requirements whilst we're getting used to it, we're going to let it slide. But those of you that are putting in those hours, you know who you are, that are here all the time and are doing those times, we appreciate you very much. But those of you that are slacking, this is your warning. Please try and up your hours. If you are struggling to do so, please reach out to your command team, reach out to your sergeants and above, because then they can address it to us that, hey, this person has actually reached out to me. This is the reason they're not meeting their minimum hours. So just be wary of that, that if you get an email from anyone in command, that is probably the reason why, because your hours are slipping.
There is just one
from-
thing I
from
just
what
want to
I've-
bring up real quickly as well.
Go for it.
Just two things real quick while I remember. First thing is, if you have complaints, this go BCSO, LSPD, and if EMS were here, it would be for them as well. If you have complaints about your department and you come and see me, I will ask you, have you spoken to your leaders? Have you spoken to your high command about it? Don't come immediately to me about complaints here, especially if they're only small. Follow the chain of command. That's why you have a chain of command. I deal with IAs. If you have an IA about a member of your department, I am more than happy to deal with that. That is what I do. No one is exempt from punishment. No rank is. And speaking of that, Baxter, your punishment is in the garage as well.
Oh, fantastic. Finally.
See, Baxter's getting
So-
punished for an IA that came in. It was a very small one. As I said, no one is exempt. That's my TED talk for the day.
Yeah. No one exempt. Me and Cheddar are not exempt from punishment. Hence why Green is here as FIB. He outranks us. Technically, if we're having a private meeting, he can walk right in. He has every right to do so. He outranks anybody in this department. If I'm on scene and he doesn't like something I'm doing, he can pull rank and take over the whole scene. With that being said, scenes. I cannot stress this enough, and people in the command team that are here, we had a very, very, very lengthy conversation about scenes and numbers on scenes. Specifically, the scene where we had 4 ground units and an air one, but there were 6 officers in total on a scene for 2 people. That is absolutely ridiculous to have. Air one counts towards numbers on scene. Regardless. Air one is only to be brought out if individuals are committing multiple crimes. For example, if they have hit 4 ATMs and we need an air one because the vehicle that they're using we can't keep up with, that is more than valid. But the only time an air one should be pulled to a scene straight away is Evangelicos, a normal fleeker, or the 2 big banks. That's the only time an air one should be immediately pulled out to go to those scenes. But please remember your numbers on scenes, and if you are in a position of rank, everyone here is in a position of rank. If an SPO sees, for example, 4 POs on a scene with 1 suspect, please move one of those POs off of a scene. Same as if a sergeant is on duty, you see 4 or 5 officers and there's maybe 2 suspects, move those officers off of that scene so we can have people covering the street. I know a lot of you here are fairly new to your position or fairly new to being an officer in general, but please do not be afraid to move people off of scenes. Amy is very, very prolific on scene numbers. She has done it multiple times, even as a cadet. In previous years, she has moved people off of the scene because they are scene command. If a scene command member is telling you to leave, regardless of your rank, you are to leave. If you are a command member or a high ranking individual, you can act as scene security just to keep an eye on things. Doesn't mean you're included in the scene. The person in charge of said scene, for example, if Waffles was on a scene and he was in charge of that scene because he was first on scene, he would be the one that would tell people to peel off or to attach. Yes, Amy.
Just to point out, just Air One, we might need to update the SOPs because under Response Act criminal activity, it says Air One is not considered towards numbers on scenes.
It is going to be updated. We had a conversation with it, and it will bring me to another point, which you actually just reminded me of because my brain is fried. To do with Air One, which I'll bring up later on. So for those of you that are interested in that kind of thing, this may be something you're looking forward to. But just please remember your numbers on scenes. I don't want to have to clock people off because they're just not listening. If you're not listening to your superiors, then are you going to listen to us? Yes, Bounds.
Okay. I just want to say that if you are not sure what the SOPs are, or if you feel like there's too many numbers and you're a lower ranking officer, feel free to ask, like privately, whoever's the highest on duty or someone you trust, because that's the only way that you're going to learn is by questioning is by asking about it, you know? So don't be afraid to ask questions about what team protocols are.
Who here knows how many officers we should have on a scene
Yeah.
or per suspect?
Depending on how many's on a scene, I reread them the other day. ATM robberies is maximum of 4, depending as well on how many suspects there are. Leaker is 6, and then something like Big Bag could be up to 8, depending on how many suspects there are still.
So myself and Lasky are going to have a very long meeting tomorrow. SOPs will be reworked on severity of some things. So please keep an eye out for an announcement tomorrow, i.e. Sunday, for an SOP change. They will be highlighted in yellow of what has changed and what has been added, just so that people aren't getting confused on that they're not seeing it. It will be highlighted in yellow so you can see it. But I can't stress enough, please just watch your numbers on the scenes. I don't want to have to strike people or send people off duty because they're not listening to their leads or the scene leads or your command team. Just, I don't want to have to do that.
Can I mention something real quick before I forget?
Mhm.
So that exact scene with the ATM robbery, I ended up pulling out Air One after I heard
Yeah,
over radio.
we've already been over
Yeah,
that whole scene, and I'll have a conversation with you afterwards about it.
Got it. So what I was going on to saying was, one of the officers that was already on scene already said that the individual had a warrant over radio to me. Sometimes officers are saying that people have warrants for their arrest in the MDT, when after I've looked at it and looked onto their actual profile, they don't have a warrant. So the warrant board on that MDT is kind of scuffed because, for instance, Ake Morningstar, always people are saying he has a warrant, he has a warrant. And I have to keep telling people, no, he doesn't have a warrant. It's just scuffed in the MDT. So that
Yeah,
might be
the
something that needs to be
MDT
fixed
Our,
because
our
people are
systems will
getting,
be getting
broken.
an update soon.
yeah,
Don't worry.
people are like getting a lot more officers on scene because people are there with warrants, but they don't actually have warrants. So that's something that needs to be fixed like as soon as possible, preferably.
Yeah, Lasky has also taken it upon himself quite nicely to re-go over our MDT guide, and I believe, Lasky, you can correct me if I'm wrong if you're still going to do this or not, to make individual videos on the MDT.
I'm not doing this anymore.
You're not doing that anymore? Okay.
No.
So we will fully fledge out the MDT manual a little more. We will put as much detail in it as possible. Again, if you guys have anything that you suggest should be put in there once they're changed, any SOPs that you think should be slightly adjusted or anything you're confused on, please let us know. This department cannot function without you guys. So if there's something you're not sure on or you think should be slightly changed or slightly added, please do let us know. SOPs are not set in stone. They are subject to change at any time. I know a lot of you have opinions, and some of you here are afraid to bring those opinions up, but please do bring those opinions to us because we care and we want to know. We're going to be moving on to another part of SOPs. Correct firearms for officers. I know our armory is a little broken due to our armory techs. A lot of the sidearms you cannot buy right now for whatever reason. However, all sidearms are viable for every rank. The rifles, as you can see, if Waffles will politely stand up for me real quick.
I'm assuming that's not including most of them for cadets. So as soon as they get PO, they get all of them.
Pistols are all valid for every rank. Waffles is SWAT. He has a suppressor on it, I think. It looks like a suppressor.
No, there's no
he doesn't.
suppressor.
No, that's only for rates for SWAT.
That's got a flashlight.
It looks like a suppressor because it's covering the flashlight up in my angle, but that's fine. Waffles has a black one.
Here's a
because he-
suppressor.
It is a suppressor. Please take it off. I already told
No,
you.
I
as
said
well.
here's a
that's
suppressor. Yeah.
So
Showing you the
Waffles
difference.
has a black DDM4. That is because he is SWAT. That is strictly a SWAT M4, the black ones. If you look at my back, the tan one is for GTF. We have the OD version, which
You want me to get
Amy
that?
does not have on her back currently, unfortunately.
I can
Otherwise,
grab that
aim-
real quick if you want.
It's fine. Don't worry about it. The OD DDM4s, we are going to rearrange how they are distributed between the ranks. Same as the regular PD carbine and the regular tactical PD rifle. We're going to distribute those correctly through the ranks again. We're going to go through them. Unless you are strictly told to buy a specific weapon by a command team, do not buy it. The only thing that should be going on your rifles are a larger magazine, a flashlight, and some variation of a scope. If you want to have a raid rifle, please let us know that you want to buy it, just so that if we see it on your back randomly, we know that it is your raid rifle. Most of us here have separate rifles. One is for patrol, one is for raids. Raid weapons can have suppressors. That is more than allowed by any means of the sense. Put a suppressor on it for raids. My advice would be, if you like the variation of the DDM4 you were using, buy the same one, put a suppressor on it, just so that you have that separation of the two rifles between your regular and your raid.
I've got a question actually. If we're on raids and we're in GTF or SWAT, obviously we're allowed suppressors on our class 3s. If we're on a raid, are we allowed to have suppressors on our class 1s as well for the raid, or no?
No. Pistol
Got it.
suppressors do not make sense to me in the slightest.
You should snort.
Due to the severity of raids, 9 times out of 10, on the odd occasion that we don't use a class 3, all raids will be class 3s. Always. On a very, very rare occasion that we use class 1s for whatever reason, we may then consider pistol suppressors, but I highly doubt that will ever become a thing. In the many years that I have been a law enforcement officer, I've never ever been on a raid where pistols have been the main point of call. I don't think Amy has, I don't even think Green has, or Lasky has ever been on a raid where pistols are suppressors or are
Switching to
viable
your
for a
primary
raid.
is always faster than reloading, though.
Again, it is always viable to
At
bring
that
your
point, if you
sidearm.
need to switch to your sidearm, then you're in the shit.
So can you shout?
And we need to know you're in the shit.
Lasky, shout.
Yeah, sorry. What I'm saying is, if you're switching to your sidearm on a raid, it means you're in the shit, and we need to know you're in the shit. If we hear loud shots from a pistol, we need to go over there and help you because you've gotten yourself into a situation.
On a raid, a pistol should be a last resort.
Yeah. Those of you that have, just a show of hands, who hasn't been on a raid? What? I know you have, Pistachio. Okay, for those of you that haven't been on raids, you'll be put into teams, normally controlled by GTF or SWAT. You'll be put into those teams. If there's not GTF or SWAT around, you'll just be put into a team with somebody that knows how to lead properly. If no one is around that can fill a team that is knowing how to lead, unfortunately, you will just take one giant group and do a raid, and one person will be in charge. Normally, we try and prefer to have 2 teams, so one team is doing one thing and one team is doing another, so there is 2 separate leads during the raid. The only people that should be talking during the raids are the leads, unless people that are in the raids have very, very key information that is being needed to be said immediately. So apart from that, just we'll be reworking the SOPs for firearms, so just be ready for that. Those of you that are wanting to buy the new fancy rifles, just be ready to go and buy them. Again, if you have a raid rifle, please let us know that you're buying it. Just so that if we see you walking around with a suppressor on it, we know it is your raid one, and they are to be immediately put away and stored for raids.
Yes, ideally that should not move. It should be either in your locker or in your car until the raid happens.
Unfortunately, Mr. Luna is not here with us. He brought an idea to me about prison transports and how we should do them if we have enough people around. I think prison transports are a very, very good idea if we have the numbers to be sufficient enough that we can transport to prison. If a suspect wants a prison transport, you don't have to. It is not their right to have a transport. However, if it is a very quiet day and you want to transport them, you can. Code 2 to the prison, get them in the prison, go into the processing area. If you don't know where it is, the moment you walk through the main door, it is on the right. If you go through the gates, you walk through the gate, you walk through the the metal cage walking area. You go straight through the doors, and there is a processing area right there. You can get DOC to take them from there. Just make sure you uncuff them or leave them in cuffs, send them in and get them to come to you so you can uncuff them. If that's the way you feel safer doing it. Because remember, if you send someone to prison in cuffs, they will remain in cuffs. But Mr. Luna has a very thorough document he wanted to bring up during this meeting for transports. So he'll get to that eventually. Another not so nice thing, masks. If you are seen wearing a mask, this includes those of you that are here on GTF. It has now been, our SOPs will be updated. If you are seen wearing a mask on shift, you'll be given one warning. If you are seen again, you'll be issued a $5,000 fine and you'll be told to clock out for a certain amount of time. If you are seen again, you'll be given an extra fine of $10,000 and clocked off for an even larger extended period of time and probably a strike. And if it continues to go down that road and you get 3 strikes, you are out of PD. You can reapply in 30 days. Regardless of your rank, you will reapply and you will work from the ground up. If you cannot understand the fact of you are being fined and being sent off duty and you're being striked for wearing a mask, unless you are given medical clearance and medical reasons to wear a mask, you shouldn't be wearing one. The mask that you will be given by EMS is the one that you will wear, and they will give command the documentation to state why you need to wear a mask. For GTF, the only time you should be wearing a mask is during GTF investigations. And you need to conceal your identity. If you pull somebody over for a traffic violation, you are to remove your mask immediately. And then when you're finished and you'll go back to doing your investigation, you then can put it back on. If you stop someone during your investigation because they are at the place you're investigating, by all means, do the process, follow what you guys are trained to do, and continue it from there. But I don't want to see people wearing masks anymore. This has been a thing where people have been confused on that it's a real cop, that it's not a real cop. And I can't believe I'm going to say this. I've had a couple of reports that somebody was asked to show their police badge, and supposedly the officer told them in the consensus of the words, "Fuck no." If a civilian asks you for your badge, for your call sign, which is normally your badge number, for those of you that don't know, if they ask for your badge number, it is your call sign. You give your call sign, your name, and your rank. Obviously, they can determine what department you work for, i.e. if Cheddar gets asked for his call sign, he would state he's BCSO because he doesn't have any BCSO markings currently. Whereas if Lasky was called for his badge number and his name and his rank, it is very clear and obvious that he is BCSO because he's in BCSO uniform. Same for LSPD. You do not have the right to refuse somebody when they ask to show you your badge. You do not have that right. You have to show them because it is your identification. I don't want to hear it. I don't know if it's real. I don't know if it's fake or anything. I was just given the report, so please be mindful of it. Why it wasn't submitted to Green, I do not know. It was just brought to me directly. Again, I don't know. I don't want to hear it. Just make sure if someone asks for your badge to see it, don't physically hand it to them. Just show it. We don't want to have people running around with our badges.
You should all be carrying your badge, even if it's at the bottom of your pockets.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
No, I'm messing with you. Body cams. are now going to be worn at all times. Mine is rolling right now, actively rolling. So if you've got a body cam, put it on. If you haven't, go buy one. We can check them, we can look at them, and we can see a live feed of your body cam, and we can hear everything that is being said. So put them on and make sure they're active, because we can actually record in the MDT. We can take pictures in the MDT as well of your body cams. So if we need to quite sneakily take a picture of somebody's face on a scene, we can. If we can't get CCTV footage from the store or from the street, we have the body cam there to take a quick picture, just so it's there. I know a lot of us aren't used to it. It's fine. It doesn't matter. It's not going to be a mandatory thing to use the body cam to take pictures or whatever else. But if you have that quick second to try and do it, please do. It will help a lot for reports and for cases and for further things down the line. Please make sure that when we are on patrol, we have a different demeanor than what we're having currently. Over the last couple of days, we have had, like I said, multiple SOP violations, multiple reports about specific officers doing things they shouldn't be doing, saying things that shouldn't have been said. I don't want to have to strike people. I don't want to have to clock people off duty. I know those of you that are here, those of you that have said you would turn up for the meeting, have indeed turned up. People that have said they weren't, that were going to be here, haven't turned up, unfortunately. That's why Green is here to provide the meeting for everybody. So we're going to move on to just a couple more things that we need to touch on. One thing is explosives. Who here has seen an explosive device recently?
Yeah.
I blew the hell
Me.
up from one.
Yeah, same here.
I've
Okay.
seen a few.
I've been blown up by one.
Going forward, this has been confirmed by command, and it is deemed fair with Green's input. Going forward, if a suspect has a bomb in their hand, what class does an explosive device come under? With show of hands, if you know. Don't shout out loud, just a show of hands.
Yeah.
Okay. For those of you that don't know, Waffles, can you explain the class explosives come under, please?
Explosives come under class 4.
Correct. So per our SOPs, because explosive device is a class 4, class 3 firearms are used for that specific incident. Now, the way we're going to deal with explosives going forward, and this will be added to SOPs, if a suspect just has it in their hand, de-escalate. Or by any means necessary, de-escalate. The last resort is shooting. If they get into the stance like they're going to throw, put them down by any means necessary. If they are in a place, for example, pillbox, we'll just use pillbox as a great example. If they're in a place like that and they have explosive and they are threatening to use it, and there are people there, please use your SOPs and obviously common sense that do not shoot the suspect with the bomb with hostages. Please don't.
Preferably get either SWAT or GTF on scene so they can deal with it.
It doesn't matter who's on scene. Just don't shoot the suspect that's got hostage, especially with a bomb. If they are out in the open and they are looking like they're going to throw it, you don't even have to give any commands. You just put them down to protect yourselves and everyone else. Hopefully the explosive won't go off in the process. If it does, immediately try and get the person in treatment. But just please remember that your life matters as well as everybody else's around you. So if they look like they're about to throw, they get in that stance, shoot them. Yes, Dredd.
What if they're throwing them out of cars at us?
If they're throwing cars at you, obliterate that car by any means necessary. Do not
So
ram
put
it
it in the
into a
ocean?
wall. No, do not obliterate it by ramming it. You shoot
Slide it up.
you shoot to disable, or you shoot the people. At that point, if they're throwing an explosive at you, they're gonna try and kill you. You put them down. It's just plain and simple. If you get the chance to get out of your vehicle and you light them up with a class 3, do it. If they want to submit an IA over it, well, unfortunately, they're going to be then snitching on themselves to green that they used an explosive device.
I've got a
Oh,
question
well.
about explosive devices real quick, because
Yes.
a lot of gangs have been using them a lot more,
Can you also
right?
speak up, Cortez?
Mainly,
Quit
a lot of
whispering
gangs have
over
been
there.
using them. So, two
can't
gangs
hear
that have been
him.
using them a lot are
Say it with your
going to
chest,
be-
Cortez.
I can
Hold
hear
on,
him.
am I,
He's louder.
am I speaking louder now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, sorry, my fault. Two gangs that have been using them a lot. Previously, it was the Lost MC, but now it seems to be the Cartel as well as Icons. Now, when the Lost MC were throwing bombs at officers, within 2 to 3 days they got raided. So, how many bombs are gangs supposed to be using and throwing at officers and trying to blow officers up until it's been being stepped up? Because at the moment I've been attempted to be bombed by like 3 or 4 times in the last couple of weeks.
Okay, so I'll address that. So if you are being targeted by a specific gang for whatever reason, and you can PID the people involved, not voice IDing, physically IDing them, either that's with their face, their blood on scene, please write an extensive report, as much detail as you can give, so we can then either submit it to Green for a raid or to DOJ. It's likely going to be Green that approves it, because at the minute our DOJ is here and there between. So Green will more than likely approve most of our raid warrants moving forward. If it is something that needs to happen effective immediately, then please reach out to one of us. If none of the command team are awake, please reach out to us and just say, hey, this needs to happen like right now, because this has been happening for however, like if it's been happening for the last 3 hours, then that's sort of something that needs to happen straight away. If it's been happening for the last couple of days, then it could be a planned raid where we can get more officers involved and address more of the bigger concerns.
Got it.
Beanbag shotguns. I know that they are an amazing tool to use, and everything else. I know that we are sick and tired of criminals running completely on drugs, and we beanbag them. More than fair enough. If you can get close enough to them before you beanbag them and tase them, please do. And that brings me to the point of stop hard cuffing again. Stop hard cuffing people straight away. You know who you are that's doing it. Stop doing it, because that is what's going to get people shot. And ironically, you're hard cuffing someone, people are upset, you're going to get shot over it. Stop doing it. We had an issue like this last time, and we were in code red for a month because people were just being targeted by specific gangs. So yeah, just stop hard cuffing. As well as most of you may know, tasing and cuffing at the same time is going to knock an individual out. For whatever reason, it might be the fact being the handcuffs and the taser prong together is just creating a large circuit and it's knocking them out. So just be mindful of that. If a suspect is running out of their mind on drugs and you are a fairly large distance away, for example, from here to, no, sorry, from the door in front of us to the stairwell, a taser is obviously not going to reach. At that point, a beanbag is viable to give you that little bit of time to catch up. Beanbags do hurt. Myself and Green can contest. They hurt. They cause bleeding. So do not just pump suspects full of beanbags. If you get close enough to then use a taser, use a taser. Beanbags are strictly there for suspects that either want to run in cuffs or run on drugs, just completely. Just be careful when we're using them.
Most of the
that
time
end
that
as
I use
well.
one. Go ahead, Lasky.
Oh, I was going to say, to that end as well, you also have batons, you know, the collapsible batons we all carry on us. You need to beat the brakes off of someone because they're being a shithead, pardon my language, then you have that tool. You know, if the beanbag isn't working, taser isn't working, beat the brakes off them.
I think what Lasky's saying is use it till you break it.
And I was just going to point out that I do tend to carry a beanbag, but I really only use it when they run in cuffs. I feel like that makes it more of a fair fight. I have run for miles after people and ended up catching them.
Another thing, stacking charges. Stacking charges that don't even need to be on the report because the person didn't even do it. We all know that there is one specific criminal, for some reason, has a weird obsession with being the most charged person in the state, being Leo. Do not stack charges. Don't do it. It's ridiculous. We don't need to just stack every single little charge that we can do. Even if it's like the smallest of charges, there's people that are doing it. There's people putting charges on a report that don't even make sense for being on the report. I don't know why it's happening, but it's happening. Stop doing it. Because that is not what the charges description is. We spent a lot of time going through the charges and making sure the descriptions match what the actual charge is itself. I don't want to see it anymore. If they want to get charged with everything, fair enough. That is their prerogative. I can't say the word.
Prerogative.
Prerogative.
Yep, thank you. If they want to get charged like that, fair enough. Go ahead and charge it. But I know what you're going to say, Cheddar. I'm about to say it. They are only going to be sent to prison for a maximum of 120 to 180 months, depending on the severity of charges. We need to stop sending suspects up to prison for 400 plus months. Again, depending on the charges that they have, depending on how long they go for. But the max I want to see people going to prison for is 180 months. There is no limit to fines. If it's going over 180 months, I believe we said for every 10 months, you add $5,000 to their charge amount. This will be put in SOPs as well. Miss Noor, I see you. I will get your question in a second. If the suspect in the cells says they want to be sent up for their recommended sentence, i.e., if their sentence is 385 months and they are more than happy to go to prison that way, please make sure you put it in the report that that is what they requested to be sent for. Just so that it is in there, it's detailed that they agreed to be sent for that amount of time. But the max I want to see people going for is 180 months, because a lot of us in here have complained that we are very bored, we've got nothing to do. But now we're getting to the point of we're sending criminals for these extended period of times and we're being bored again. So we're trying to find that happy place between DOC, between us, and between the criminals, so then we're not being targeted by crims again with class 3s and explosives and stuff like that. So just please be mindful of how much you're sending someone for. Yes, if their maximum time is 180 months, you can still give them a discount. You don't have to, especially if it's way over the 180 months. But please, for every 10 months they're over, up their fine by $5,000. Again, it is completely your discretion to do that. But if you feel that because of what they have done warrants more money, go ahead and fine them an extra $5,000 for every 10 months. Ms. Noor, what was your question?
So with the charges, stuff like that, there's been quite a lot of discussion with like blanket charges and or just a bunch of other charges that will cover it instead of just putting one charge that could cover it all. Do you want us to like don't use those smaller charges or it is
I'm not saying don't use them. What I'm saying is that there has been reports that have been submitted that we have looked through today that there are charges on a report that don't even make sense to be on a report. It's like people are trying to stack as many charges on one report as possible, but they're putting things on the report that has nothing to do with that situation. This is what we're getting at. There's things that are on reports that don't make sense to be on these reports because that has nothing to do with what went down during the situation. For example, an ATM robbery and someone got a drug charge because they were selling drugs. Or how are they selling drugs but robbing an ATM? Things like that, as an example. Those random little things that are being put on reports doesn't make sense. You're giving someone a drug selling charge for robbing an ATM, but also then charging them with an ATM robbery. How are they doing both at the same time?
Or
I
robbing
think
a
I know exactly
fleeker and
what
getting
incident
charged
that
with
was.
animal cruelty. That's just fucking stupid.
Yeah.
I think I know exactly what incident that was. They robbed an ATM, we lost them. 2 minutes later, we found them and they're selling drugs.
For situations like that, that's more than valid. But when they just robbed an ATM and we're stacking these random odd charges that don't make sense to be on the charge, don't do it because it doesn't make sense. And it makes paperwork look messy. It makes it look like we're not doing our job properly. And God forbid if Green one day wants to do a report audit, which if you don't know what that is, where if someone sits down and goes through each individual report and reads through it, if there is something wrong with those reports, that's on us. Every
If it's a
report.
si-
Go on, Amy.
Sorry. If it's a situation where, like, yes, they've robbed an ATM and then, like moments later or whatever, how long it is, they are caught selling drugs. You can, like, as long as you've 100% ID'd that person, you can put in your report incident 1, put details, incident 2, put in those details, and that will account for the charges that you are charging them.
Yeah. The way that myself, Amy Green, and Lasky have always tried to train people, and the way that we were trained is those of you that like to write those really long, extensive reports, we love to see it. I absolutely love reading those reports because it's got all the details that I need to know just for later down the line. The way you should write a report is enough detail, but short and sweet. But detail that if it is to go to court, the judge or the jury, the lawyers can see exactly what happened in that report, even though it's a short report. If it's a long report and there's a lot of detail, even better. But for those of us that struggle with typing those long reports, just put enough detail in that report that if it does go to court for whatever reason, it's quite clear on what they did. I don't want to see any more of these 2-line reports of responded to such and such a call. This suspect was cuffed, sent to prison. I don't want to see those reports anymore. If I see a 2-line report, you will be pulled and asked to rewrite the report in more detail.
Because
you are doing it.
apologies,
Stop
apologies, Baxter.
Go for it.
If I'm not on scene and I pull up your report, I need to be able to read and go, okay, cool, I know what happened. I shouldn't have to ask questions.
For example, if we have a raid that needs to be done and it is literally a 3-sentence report, Green ain't going to approve that because there's not enough evidence. Okay, well, officers got shot at over this for this reason, but what else happened for a request to raid come through? What else happened? It's not going to get approved. I know we all love raids. I love them because it gives us a chance to get our own back, especially the Lost MC. We all love those raids. It's a chance for us to blow off steam against the criminals that have been harassing us for a while. So that for us is something that we don't get to do that much, but when it happens, I have to say we do them fairly well. The last few raids we have done, we have taken next to no casualties on our side to be treated, apart from a couple of individuals at a Lost MC raid who had explosives, and officers got quite severely injured on it. So please just write enough detail in reports that if it's to go to court or if Green is to pull it up so he can know. So if he has to do an investigation for whatever reason, he has the proof that he needs to start it and go further with it. So, before we move on to the better part of the meeting, Amy, you had a point. Cortez, you had a point, and someone else had a
mine's
point.
already been discussed. Mine was like
You redone yours?
max time. All good.
Okay. Who else had a point apart from Cortez?
I had a point, but these stereos would go to my head. I've completely forgot what the point was, so never mind.
Well, you're helpful.
Those beans
Okay,
he's been
so-
eating's gone straight to his brain cells.
Yeah,
He's always eating beans.
straight out my ass.
Before we move on to the nicety part of the meeting, who here has anything, even if, like, when I say even if it's slightly small or a question about something, please ask it, and I will raise your hand, and I will ask you each individually to state your question. Yes, Ms. Noor, what is your question?
So it's not really a question, but I've been experiencing lately is whenever we had more multiple suspects in custody and we're going to make a report, we need to start cooperating more, I guess, on who's doing what, because we keep losing evidence, and which means that we can't really charge him with what they should have been charged with. So the sentences have been reduced because we couldn't charge him with things because the evidence kept going away, kept missing.
So are you saying we got people mishandling evidence and people are getting confused with who's charging who?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, okay.
It gets really chaotic. And I feel like if we get if you have 4 officers and we have 4 suspects, couldn't we make 4 individual reports? Like we all just make our own report we take one individual each and just do that, and everything will just go a lot quicker and it'll just be cleaner because then you're just in charge of one person
If
in the
I may
report, so we can just link them all together instead with the incidents.
So I guess not many people know this, but multiple officers can edit reports at one time. It works and it doesn't mess anything up to my knowledge. Me and Chief Baxter and the command team can mess with it at a later date and see, but officers should be able to edit reports simultaneously. The same
I do
report.
it all the time. I'll
Yeah, that has
usually
been
do a
my
different
journey.
tab at least. I'm not sure about writing in the same like summary tab, but I edit while someone's writing all the time.
Yeah, so for a large scale report where you've got multiple suspects, we want to try and keep it into one report just because it's easier to see who was on that same scene. Yes, we can link the reports as you said, but it's just easier to have it in one report so that we don't have to keep going into individual reports. If it gets to the point of we are having issues with the MDT where we are losing paperwork because of we're doing a giant report with multiple suspects on it, we will look at a way around it to go through that sort of incident and try and fix it. For now, if it's easier for everybody just to charge an individual person, put it on one report, then go ahead and do that. Just make sure that you're saving before you come out of the MDT, because otherwise you'll be redoing all again.
I say something real quick because Newell just
Yeah.
reminded me of what my point actually was. If you have multiple suspects in the cells and there's only one or two officers and they have to break off for another scene or something like that, the quickest way to possibly get all those suspects through and dealt with if you're needing to respond to another call or something is, now I know some people might not agree with me on this, but if you're dealing with a high value target like someone from the cartel or someone from the icons that are very well known and everything like that, and you don't, in my opinion, you don't need to take a mugshot of them every time that you go into the cells if you're dealing with multiple suspects, because these suspects are getting arrested 2, 3, maybe 4 times a day. And the chances are that they've got new face tattoos or changed their hair is so low on the scale that it's ridiculous. So that's going to be saving you 4 or 5 minutes of getting mugshots of everyone. The best thing to do is if there's 2 people in the cells dealing with 2, 3, or 4 people, one of you write the report on a notepad, and then the other officer deals with the charges on all of the people. And by the time you've dealt with the charges and everything like that on each individual, the report should already be written, so the person can put it in and then save it after. So if you're writing a report, make sure to put it in a notepad, or before you save it, copy and paste all of it and then put it in. So if it doesn't save, you can put it in again and try and save it again instead of spending another 10, 15 minutes writing a report as well. Because one last thing as well, never write a report before giving the suspects their charges, because that's just them waiting in the cells for 10, 15 plus minutes. And yeah, that's just ridiculous. I mean, if I was a criminal, I'd start eating the cement off the walls.
We want
Yeah,
to try and get
family
people
digging holes.
processed as quick as possible and get them serving their time so we can get back out on the street. That is pretty much most of the things we needed to cover. So we're going to move on to a quite nicety part. Can the following officers stand up? Dread, Waffles, Luna, you're not here. Smith is not here. And Miss Noor, can you stand up for me? Is Houston here?
No.
Didn't think so. I think that's everybody.
Come into the middle. Stand in front of the class.
To the middle. Dread, step forward for me. Face the class.
Fired.
God damn it, Dread. Unfortunately for you, Mr. Dread, it's been brought to our attention that you are in very, very much need of something. Come on, team, if you please.
Not gonna lie, Lasky, that one nearly hit me.
After his tasing is over, I will finish my piece.
Hold on a minute.
You can all tase him in a minute. Let me just finish this. I can't believe you missed.
Imagine missing that.
You
Yeah,
can
it was
all,
great.
you can all
No,
tase
it's
each other in a
painful.
minute. You guys can tase each other in a minute. Dread, we're giving you the promotion to LT. You have put in a tremendous amount of work when you are here. You are always an officer that people can rely on, people can come and talk to for opinions, for advice, and you're always level-headed even when dealing with very volatile suspects. We've seen the dedication, the work you're putting in. Therefore, we are extending you the LT position. It is a very much overdue, but obviously due to your LOA and your hours over previous months, it's kind of stopped you a little bit. So we are giving this to you because at this point in time and previous points, it is very much deserving for you to have. And you have proven yourself tremendously. You've come such a long way from when you first got hired on to where you are now. And I'm very, very much looking forward to seeing what you do over the next few months as an LT. So as a new LT, you get the privilege of standing up here with us. Mr. Waffles,
Congrats.
He is.
step forward and face the class. And again.
Ow. That's quite a hurt.
Yeah, that was a lot in one go.
At least 3 of those were in the arm. Ow.
That was like an AED.
When he's done. Mr. Waffles,
Ow.
how did you end up over there?
I pet the doggo.
Oh, now you're back in the middle. Okay, you weren't there a second ago.
He wasn't in my eyes either.
That was
No, he was the other side of the classroom for me.
Oh.
So, Mr. Waffles, we are extending you the position of corporal. The reason being, even as a PO and an SPO, even quite frankly, if I remember correctly, during your solo phase, you were teaching people. You were teaching new people. You were helping out as much as you possibly could. And I understand this is your first time being a law enforcement officer. And you have done tremendously well. And if you're anything like Cortez, God help us all. But you have done such a massive improvement from when you were first hired on. And like I said, you're always helping people out. You're always the first person that is offering paperwork, offering support. And you're the first person I've seen as a new officer that is willing to take out a cadet, even though you weren't an FTO at the time. And that to me says a lot about you as a person and as an officer. So we are going to give you the promotion of a corporal. This means you do get a fancy new corporal charger and a fancy new paycheck, along with a fancy new weapon, but you're swapped, so you get to keep your regular DDM4. So again, from everyone in command team, we appreciate you taking out the cadets, even though you weren't an FTO when you were taking them out with permission. We appreciate it very, very much. It helped us out a lot. Please keep doing the great work that you're doing, and just don't mess up. I don't want to see any more IAs, please. Thank you.
There will be a couple in last night. Just saying.
You'll be having a conversation with Green very shortly then. Miss Nora, if you would step forward and face the class, please. If you will.
You fucking motherfucker.
I knew that was coming. Right, Miss Nor, you have done a tremendous amount of work during your solo phase. During your very extended LOA, you have come back tenfold. You have hit the ground running. You were given quite a very severe opportunity as your actual first training day, where you passed so much, the fact being Cortez recommended you to go solo. We were very skeptical because it was your first training day, but we wanted to give you the benefit of the doubt that you knew what you were doing, because from what we were told, you knew the SOPs very well. During this week, I have seen nothing but tremendous amounts of hours, tremendous amounts of reports from you, some of them quite fairly detailed, I might add. So we're going to take you out of your cadet phase, and we're going to give you the PO. You have, like I said, you've done tremendous amounts of work, and we are very, very proud that you, even during your LOA, were keeping up with SOPs, you were keeping up with what's going on. I even remember the first day you being hired on, you were straight on the MDT reading reports, reading SOPs. For a cadet to do that is huge and just shows a lot. Yes, that means you can get out of those hideous Class A's, and you can wear
the right ones.
No, it's not the right ones. The black ones are the right ones. You can get out of those Class A's. You can wear a short sleeve. You can choose a different style vest. Again, vests are open to interpretation as long as they're not certification vests. You can edit your uniform as you see fit as long as it's approved. So again, we appreciate you. All of these promotions, unfortunately for you guys, will be announced to the PD, unfortunately. So prepare for a lot more tasing. For those of you that have been promoted, I will give you a 10-second head start before I let everyone loose to come and tase you, and then we are done.
I'm not even gonna run.
FOB, I overrule that. 3 seconds. Go now. Run.
I'm not even gonna run. I'll let you all do it.
1, 2, 3. Everyone go.
Yay, cardiac arrest!
So many splooging noises. God.
Had to taste cheddar.
Hey, Cheddar.